Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, balls.
Balls.
All right, that was close enough, I think.
Looks like I got about an hour 45 before I arrive there.
All right, that should work.
But like I'm on the expressway. I'm on I don't know what I'm on right now, but I'm heading towards 271 North.
So wait, you're actually the car's moving?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh wow, I can't hear at all. Like I would think I would have heard road noise and whatnot.
No, no. I mean, I'm driving. I've been driving for a little bit because I wanted to get on something where I didn't have to make a lot of direct changes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Get rolling.
Yeah. All right. So I think normally we wouldn't do this, but I think we should explain to the folks at home what's going on here today.
Yeah, I think that's appropriate.
Yeah. So we're trying something a little bit different today. Coury's on the road for work, as far as I know, and
that's right.
So we're kind of semi. He's semi on location in that he's in his car somewhere between Akron, Ohio, and as Tim Rogers might say, hurtling down the freeway towards Erie, Pennsylvania.
Yes, at approximately 68 miles per hour.
Really?
Yeah, well, I mean, 65. I have a kind of a rule.
Oh.
It's something my wife said, if you're going to go over the speed limit, never go more than 5 miles over the speed limit.
Oh.
So, you always set it I always set it for 4 miles over speed limit.
Yeah.
But, there's a lot of traffic around right now, and I don't have the cruise control on. But once the cruise control is on, I'll set it for 69.
Nice.
Which is a nice speed to be going.
Yes. Do you think are the police there more, like if you were going like 72, let's say, and a 65, do you have a reasonable expectation that you would get pulled over if you drove right past, like a state police or highway patrol or whatever you guys call those guys?
I don't know. I have nothing to base it on because I've not gotten a ticket since I was 17 years old.
Oh, that's very good. I'm just asking because I feel like maybe it's almost like a regional thing where, like, here in California, the speed limit is 65 on paper, but the actual speed limit is 80. So like, as long as you keep your speed in the 70s, you're not going to get pulled over, and so everybody drives about 80 here.
Well, I mean, when I'm driving out of Cincinnati or something like that, it's a 55 and a 65, but there's people just like blasting, and I can't imagine that, if everyone else is doing it, why can't I? So I'll do it in that situation. But if I'm just like kind of cruising down the expressway, there's nothing around me, I'm going to set it for 4 miles over the speed limit and just like lock it in the cruise control and just go.
Lock it in.
I'm a very defensive driver, perhaps.
As you should be. That's the best way to drive.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I haven't gotten a ticket since I was 17, and that was just for a headlight being out. It was stupid.
So you got like a fix-it ticket.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean,
not even a real ticket. That's good.
Exactly. So, I've made it this long. I can't break my streak. I don't want to break my streak.
Yeah, it's like your no smoking streak.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to F that up.
No.
So, I mean, I think that some people maybe get annoyed with my defensive driving, but, I'd rather err on the side of caution because you don't know what other people are doing.
Yeah, and I think
you never know if they could be on something or there's been like a couple of years ago, there was a rash of people just getting in car accidents like around Cincinnati because they were just like on opioids and like basically passed out while they're driving.
Oh my God, that's awful.
Yeah.
I think you can also say it's pretty matter of fact that drivers have gotten worse in the last few years.
Correct. And I don't know. I don't know if cars themselves have gotten to be like they can take a greater impact or less. Because, I mean, they used to be just like these steel, like super solid things.
Yeah.
And now it feels like they're half plastic.
I mean, yes, that's true, but I think that you're a lot better off getting into a major collision now than when, like, I know on paper it probably sounds good that like, oh, these cars were made of steel, but they have a lot more safety features now, and in a lot of ways, plastic can actually be good for that as well. So
yeah.
So anyway, if you don't mind, I think that I want to jump right in and talk about the elephant in the room.
Okay.
And that is the food that is currently being digested in your stomach.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm very excited about this.
It was funny because the place that I was working at last night here in Akron was 2 blocks away from it. I could have gone and gotten dinner there last night if I wanted to.
Yeah.
But I think that they close at 3 p.m.
Yeah, so a lot of delis aren't actually open for dinner. It's just a lunch thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're talking, last time I was going to Akron, you used to come here a lot for work, and you told me that I got to go to this place called Diamond Deli.
I didn't come there a lot. I was there at work for 2 weeks, and I ate there every single day. And I got the same thing every day.
Really? Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of...
I got the
different
chads,
sandwiches.
Because, it's the chads, wait till you hear this story. But if you're a regular, you just walk in there and you're like, hey, give me a chads.
Yeah, and, I thought about getting it, but I don't really care for rye bread.
Oh, yeah. Then, I mean, you showed me what you got, which you should tell the folks at home, but it certainly looked good to me.
Yeah, I got the Where's Jason?
Yeah, where's Jason? That's what I want to know.
I immediately thought of the game Heavy Rain. I don't know if you ever saw the clip from that, the glitch clip where it's, he goes, Jason, he's like looking for his son in a busy shopping mall.
Yeah.
He's like, Jason, he's like looking for his son. So that's immediately what I thought of. I don't think that this has anything to do with it.
You didn't ask like what the provenance of the name was?
No.
Well, that's all right.
But I'll tell you one thing is I got there right around 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I am very lucky that's when I got there, because by the time I left, there was a line of people out the door.
Oh, that's normal, yeah.
So, but when I got there, there was one person in front of me. So.
Well, 11's pretty early to get lunch, so.
Yes.
I'm not judging. I'm just saying that's why there was nobody in there.
So I got the sandwich, and I got the matzo ball soup that you mentioned. And I've never had matzo ball soup. I always imagined it being like an Italian thing, but it's kind of
it's Jewish.
Kind of like chicken noodle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had no idea. For some reason, I thought it was going to be kind of a red soup.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It was going to be.
I didn't realize you'd never had. I didn't know that you'd never had matzo ball soup before.
No, but it was good.
You didn't have matzo ball soup when we all went to Saul's Deli in Berkeley?
I don't think so.
Oh, all right. I don't remember, so. That, for the folks at home, Saul's Deli in Berkeley is also a Jewish deli, so of course they have matzo ball soup there.
But, I went in there, and I kind of explained, I'm just passing through town, and I had a friend who used to come here a whole bunch, and he said, you got to go here if you're gonna be in Akron. So here I am, and I tried to get you a shirt.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I really just wanted you to enjoy the food and not worry about getting me a shirt,
But I wanted to get you a shirt, but they didn't have any of the correct size in short sleeve T-shirt. So
I can't believe that they didn't have any shirts in a size svelte medium.
They had a ton of shirts, but they just did not have.
I don't wear a medium.
Yeah, in a medium.
Yeah, I was making a joke. I wish I was a medium.
But they didn't have the specific size. So, the guy who was there was just like, just give me a call in 2 weeks. We have a whole bunch of shirts coming, and I'll get you one.
Yeah,
I'll get one to you. He's like, just call up and ask for Brett, and and I'll remember, and we'll get one out to you.
Yeah.
So it's cool. It's cool. So I sat there and ate. I only ate half my sandwich because it was a little early for lunch. So I got half that I can eat for dinner.
Yeah.
So the Where's Jason? it had like smoked turkey. What is it? Gear, like the Gruyere cheese. Is it Gruyere?
Gruyere?
Yes. I don't say that word out loud very much.
I get it.
It had bacon, avocado, and mayo on wheat bread, and it was toasted.
Yeah.
And it was so rich.
Sounds like it.
You know, yeah. So I had half of it, and the other half is sitting 1 foot away from me in the passenger seat.
That's
Put
exciting.
a seatbelt around it.
Yeah.
And I'll have it for dinner perhaps. But yeah, it was very good. You know what? The people working there are super cool and super nice.
Yeah.
When I was looking for a shirt, like this other guy was like, "Oh, like I'll go through, like I can show you different ones that we have. I can see if I can dig out the correct size and see what I can do." So they really tried to make make the shirt happen.
I appreciate that.
They went through a lot of effort to try to make it happen, but I didn't want to take up their entire day.
You didn't happen to ask them if they were interested in sponsoring a podcast, did you?
No, but I should have.
You should have. Hey, you want to sponsor?
I could always, if I have to call them up.
Oh yeah,
and I can ask them then. So perhaps.
Tell them I'll wear the shirt on the show if they like FedEx overnight me one of those Chad's wait till you hear this story sandwiches.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll do that.
They're not going to get a better deal than that.
No.
What else you got? I mean, you got anything else to bring to the table here? You're the one out traversing the Midwest of America.
Yeah, it just got me thinking. I feel as though being out and about like this and driving is probably good for conversation because I can just come up with a whole bunch of stuff like based on the things that I see. You know?
Hey, do you want to play Slug Bug? We should play Slug Bug.
What's Slug Plug?
Oh, it's Slug Bug. I was making a joke, but it's like, if you're in the car with somebody and you see a Volkswagen Beetle, whoever spots it first punches the other person.
Okay.
And then you yell Slug Bug.
Okay, so I think that's a regional thing. Like everybody has, or generational thing maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know, or regional and generational, because when I was growing up, we had a thing where if you see a car with a headlight out, you had to say padiddle, and you had to like touch the ceiling, and then you can punch anybody in the arm who hasn't touched the ceiling yet.
Oh.
But my daughter has a thing going with her friend that's it's a lot nicer, a lot like it does not involve any punching. But if you see a yellow car, right, you reach over and you pinch the other person and you say cheese squeeze.
I mean,
so I don't know like where that came from, but every time, and it's very funny because it has gotten into her whole like thinking, and she can be in the middle of a sentence and she will see something and she will like not stop with what she's saying, but will reach over and like seamlessly integrate the words cheese squeeze into what she's saying.
Wow. I mean,
yes.
You're saying it's non-violent because it's not punching, but I mean, pinching can be worse than punching.
Yeah, but it is not like a I'm trying to hurt you kind of pinch or make a mark. It's more like, it's just like grabbing your arm and kind of squeezing a little bit of fat.
Like my good friend Tony, that's when he was a kid, he would tell me that like that's how his mom would like discipline him in public, like if they were at the store and he started acting up.
Yeah.
She didn't want to smack him because they're in public, and so she'd reach over and just pinch him, but like kind of hard.
Yeah. Hard enough to hurt but not leave a mark,
I guess.
I'm getting in the express lane here.
You got to pay for that or what?
No, it's just like it just splits off.
Oh. A lot, in a lot of places that would be like a toll lane.
Yeah. But
it's
here
very
I
classist.
think it's just, going like, I don't know. It's like I'm going to go around Cleveland.
Yeah.
I guess.
Hey, there's a really good botanical garden in Cleveland. Just FYI.
Oh.
I don't know if you're a fan, because you mentioned that you guys were going to go check out the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame here a little bit later in the summer.
Yeah, well, yeah.
If you get real bored, you can go to the botanical garden. I mean, I think it's nice, but if you're not into botanical gardens, you're not gonna.
My kids would like that too.
Oh well, there you
go. Because I'm traveling up this way for work, and I'm after I go to Erie for tonight, then I'm staying the night there, and then I'm going to my hometown of Jamestown, New York, which is about 45 to 50 minutes of a drive north from there. Jamestown is right near Chautauqua Lake, and I haven't been there since my mom moved away. But the thing is I'm going there. I'm going to be up in this area for work, but also at the beginning of next month, we're taking a short little family vacation, and we're going up to Buffalo, but we're also going to stop in Jamestown then. But then we're going to drive back, and we were thinking about making some stops on the way back at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But yeah. I wonder if we could probably do the botanical gardens also, because we could just stay the night in Cleveland if we wanted to.
Well, I mean, just go to the website and check it out and show it to your family and see if they would be into that sort of thing.
Yeah, I will.
I mean, you have to enjoy plants, I would say.
Exactly. And like I said before, that when it comes to making plans, I'm very loosey-goosey with it. I'm kind of just just tell me what we're doing. And I think that this is maybe a way for, my wife meeting me halfway. Like, she's making certain plans, but she says, we're coming back. We don't have to be back until this certain day. We can stop and do whatever strikes our fancy on the way, whatever we feel like, or we could just come home.
Yeah.
But now I'm thinking, I've never been to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and also I've driven past it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that would be very cool, especially for my daughter, who's starting to get into music a bit more now.
Yeah.
So
you're like, hey, there's Bob Dylan's guitar or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that she knows very much about Bob Dylan.
You could take him to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. That's not far away either.
I'm sure they'd... Why does Cleveland have all these Hall of Fames, I wonder?
Well, I mean, the Pro Football Hall of Fame is in Canton, Ohio.
Okay, well, that's right. That was, right where I was.
Yeah, basically. And that's supposedly where, the NFL was formed. There's a whole story about it. They even have an exhibit actually at the airport about that, the Akron airport. And so that's why the Pro Football Hall of Fame is there. I don't know why the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is in Cleveland, although I'm sure there's a good reason.
Yeah. It's like a lot of these lesser popular cities probably had to, how can we get more people to come here?
Yeah. I forgot I forgot the name of the town where the Baseball Hall of Fame is. It's in New York. I forgot where, but it's only there because for a long time there was a old wives' tale about how that was where baseball was invented.
Uh-huh.
Except then that got totally debunked. But they didn't bother moving the Hall of Fame.
Dang. Is it it's not like Youngstown or something like that, is it?
No. It's funny because I have one of my mugs, a coffee mug that I always drink out of. I got it at a thrift store, but it's an old mug from probably the 60s or 70s from the Baseball Hall of Fame. And it says on it where the Hall of Fame is, and even though I drink out of that thing almost every day, I can't remember the name.
You can't remember? Well, it's funny because, it's good to have mugs from, places that, are famous in certain ways. My hometown of Jamestown, New York is, actually, has a number of different things that it's famous for. And I have a mug that, lists all these different things.
Didn't a cult all kill themselves there? Didn't they drink? Wasn't that where the Kool-Aid thing happened? Jamestown?
No. As far as I know. So Lucille Ball from I Love Lucy is from there.
Originally. Oh, she was born there.
Yes.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and there's because of that, there's this big comedy center there now. It's kind of like a comedy museum. That they, because they really embraced. Growing up, they didn't really make a big deal about it, but in the last maybe 20 years or so, they've made a big deal about it, and it's become more and more of a thing.
Yeah.
And you might have seen the fact that they made someone made this bronze statue of Lucille Ball, and it's really bad, and it just like looks scary.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Was it made for like to be put in Jamestown?
Yeah. It's in a park in Celeron, New York, which is like in Jamestown. So this statue was put there, and everyone just made fun of it, and it was like all over the internet. It was like an internet meme for a little while.
Yeah.
You'll have to look it up afterwards because it's very funny. It looks nothing like her. It's really, really creepy looking. So then it came under so much fire that they hired somebody else to make a new one that looks much, much better. But I don't think that they removed the old one because...
Oh, I figured they would have melted that thing down or something,
Well, that in itself is a reason for people to go and check it out.
Oh, we got to make a side trip over here and go check out this like super ugly Lucille Ball statue.
Yes. Well, you're seeing if you want to see one, you got to see the one that everybody made fun of too.
That sounds like something that would have been on like National Lampoon's Vacation, like.
Yes.
Like, all right, but we're gonna miss the House of Mud.
So, it's like that's one of the things that it's known for there.
There was that Weird Al Yankovic song, "The Biggest Ball of Twine in Minnesota."
Biggest ball of twine?
Yeah, twine. Yeah.
Okay, so I assume that's just like a play on the biggest, like the giant ball of yarn or whatever.
I guess it was the biggest ball of twine in Minnesota. It's a good song.
So the other thing that Jamestown is known for, I mean, I don't know if they're really known for it, but it's mainly relevant for me because I was big into REM. I am like, REM is my favorite band.
Oh, you like REM?
Yes.
Oh,
I
that's
do.
cool.
Believe it or not.
I like them too.
Natalie Merchant in the 10,000 Maniacs. You know who 10,000 Maniacs is?
Yes, that's false advertising, by the way. But yes.
Yeah, it's Natalie Merchant is the
lead
singer.
Yeah.
Yes, and then she like left the band and was solo, and she's like released a bunch of albums, and she just recently came out with a new album for the first time in like 20 years or something like that.
Yeah.
So they're also from there.
Oh, okay.
She's also from there.
But wait, what's that got to do with REM?
Because Natalie Merchant and Michael Stipe were very close for a long time. Like they toured together a bunch, like early on.
Okay.
And just the feel of 10,000 Maniacs and REM and like early REM are very similar too.
Oh, so you're saying like if you're a fan of one, you're probably a fan of the other.
Yeah, and you know that they have kind of like a little bit of a history.
Oh.
Together.
Yeah.
So, so 10,000 Maniacs and Natalie Merchant are from there, and that's kind of cool. But it doesn't seem like they really play that up as much anymore, or I don't think they ever did.
Well, I mean, I feel like Michael Stipe's kind of retired. I mean.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I follow him on Instagram and see all the things he posts, and he just seems like he's living the good life at this point.
Yeah, and he just like, he makes he does like some artwork and stuff. My brother went to this festival. I think it was some music festival in North Carolina several years ago. And he was performing like his solo stuff, and also a bunch of his like artwork was there too.
That's cool.
All right, so I was in the express lane going 71. I don't know.
Oh man, you're living on the edge now.
But it's saying on my Google Maps, it said the speed limit was 60, and the after I passed the cop, I'm just watching them in my mirror to see if they pull out, and it did not happen.
Hey, can you do me a favor? If you get pulled over, don't hang up the phone. and don't stop the recording.
I might have to take the thing out of my.
I know, but we can all listen.
Out of my ear, but
that would be great radio.
Yeah. So just driving here.
Yeah.
Do you have any like really ridiculous stories about driving? Like, has anything really stupid happened to you while you're driving?
Like what?
Because I have one that I.
Oh. Well, I mean, then you tell me yours, and maybe that'll jog my memory. I mean, I'm not really sure what you're getting at. So
with my first car, I was.
Well, first of all, what was your first car?
My first car was a Plymouth Horizon.
Oh wow!
It was very much like it's like a hatchback, like a Dodge Omni type thing.
Okay.
And did I talk about this on here where I had it was like a old vehicle from the business that my dad was running.
Yeah.
As a home security business, and they were getting a new car, a new vehicle, so they were taking this and taking it off the road. And it was just like not very good. It lasted about a year, but it didn't have a tape player in it or anything in it.
Like it didn't have a radio at all?
It might have had a radio.
Okay.
But it did not have
tape player.
And like a tape player, which is,
okay.
I'm a teenager. It's like I wanted a tape player, right?
Of course,
so I can listen to my mixtapes, right?
Yeah.
So we pulled out the radio, and he had an extra tape player, but it didn't fit. So it was like wired in, but jammed in between the two front seats. But it's kind of awesome, right?
I mean, it works.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
So.
But that's not even the crazy story.
No, that's not even the crazy story. I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But it was very shortly after I'd gotten the car, and I thought that I could not figure out how to. I don't know if it was. I pulled some lever because I needed to do something, and I accidentally pulled the pop the hood lever, and I didn't know it, and I was driving home, and my hood flew up, like straight up. And
wow! Like were you like on the freeway?
I was on the. I was in a busy area, and it was very cold and snowing and icing out. And my hood flew up, and I'm very lucky that it did not just like rip off and go flying.
That happens,
right?
Yeah,
exactly. I mean that it was.
I mean, maybe not rip off, but like come all the way up against the
and like smash
windshield,
Yeah.
Or windscreen if you're listening from Britain, Great Britain.
but yeah, it was incredibly stupid. But, I laugh about it every once in a while because I can't believe that it didn't turn out worse than it did because the potential was there for it to be very, very bad.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's just, it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
I don't know how I managed to do that.
Just
a lack of experience.
Just randomly pulling levers in the car,
Yes.
Oh, this must
be. I don't remember what I was trying to do specifically. I mean,
turn on the AC or something. Maybe this must be the AC lever.
Probably. Well, I mean, the AC the heat barely worked. So, when I would be, because in Jamestown, Western New York, it would get very cold and snow a lot, and the windshield would only defrost enough that a little tiny spot in the very center would de-ice, and I'd have to like kind of hunch and look through it when I was driving. Like that's pretty dangerous.
Yeah.
I mean, this thing is, it really was like a death trap, I guess.
Yeah.
There was one time where I was driving to school and it was icing, and I totally started sliding, and I spun like down the road, and I didn't go off the road or anything. I just like ended up in the other lane, like facing the right direction.
Yeah.
So I could just like start driving back and like, turn around again.
Wow.
There was one time, and this is real stupid, but this is intentional.
That's the best kind of stupidity, is the intentional.
Yes,
yeah.
Exactly. So we thought this was real. We thought it was very, very funny, to the point where we were laughing so hard that we were crying. Where we would take, you know how you can take your windshield wipers and pull them away from your, if you need to like use like an ice scraper or something, you can take your windshield wipers and pull them away, and they will like stick straight out.
Yes.
And they just lock in that position.
Yeah.
Well, we thought it was the most hilarious thing to put them in that position and then just drive around town, and like pretending that we didn't notice it.
Yeah.
And people would kind of like try to get our attention, and we thought it was very funny just to like turn them on when they're like that, and they would just slightly move. It's so dumb, and I feel like it's something that maybe is only funny when you're 17 years old.
Well,
but it was so funny.
It just kind of reminds me, when you said that, it reminds me, and probably other people too, of the scene in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles where John Candy and Steve Martin are driving down the freeway, and they're on the wrong side of the freeway.
Yeah.
They're going the wrong way, and like the car comes up next to them and is trying to tell them, you're going the wrong way, and like John Candy just thinks that they're drunk, or
Yeah.
Of course, he wasn't doing that on purpose, but I was saying, if you were doing that that's kind of where I thought you were going with that, is that people were going to say like, hey, your windshield wipers are sticking out, and you were going to just be like, okay, weirdo.
No. I mean, people are just trying to be like, oh, like pointing at them.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, of course we know, but we just want to pretend that we don't know.
Yeah.
And it's more just, it was so funny. But I think when I was mentioned the windshield, or the hood flying up, right? Like, that makes me think of Tommy Boy, because in that movie the hood flies up and it rips off.
Yeah.
And flings down the road.
Yeah. I feel like that's a lot less common.
Oh, that's definitely a lot less common.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't not think about what other people thought when they saw that happen, coming the other way.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my God. Or if they thought it was funny. Or I feel like I would think it was funny if I saw it happen, as long as it didn't rip off and, fly into another car or something like that.
I mean, I think I would just be worried about the person's safety if I saw that. Like, oh my God, I hope they were able to pull over and.
But would you laugh about it afterwards?
Probably. I mean, unless I saw some news story that something bad happened, I would probably think it was pretty funny. Yeah, how can you not? I mean, I don't know. I don't feel like I can think of any stories I have like that. It's just like when you tell those stories, it just reminds me of like, we've actually only, between the two of us, my wife and I, we've only ever had 4 cars. Which, I just say that, we've only ever had 4 cars.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and I say like only 4 because like, we're both in our mid-40s, and so like a lot of people, between 2 people, you would have had more cars than that, I guess. Although that's not technically true. I had a couple cars when I was younger, but they weren't really usable for one reason or another. But the first car that we ever got after we got together was this 1969 Volkswagen Beetle.
Oh.
And everybody always talks about, not anymore. I mean, I feel like, sadly, like as time goes by, you see less and less of those on the road. But like, when I was growing up, there were like air-cooled Volkswagens everywhere. And, but people would tell me like, oh, that's a great car. Those cars are so reliable because they're so simple and there's not a lot that can go wrong. Because like just off the top of my head, I can think of like 4 times that car left me stranded on the side of the road, for one reason or another. But I swear I've told this story somewhere before, but I don't know why. It's just my favorite one. But the last time that this happened, I was just driving home from work. So that car, we got that car first, and then my wife got a nicer car because she had to commute like on the freeway to work, and neither one of us thought like, I don't really want you driving that car on the freeway. Just because that car doesn't go faster than like 65 or 70, and like I got done saying, like nobody drives that slow anymore, and so it just seems unsafe. And plus, the car is so tiny, relatively speaking. And so anyway, so she bought like a Volkswagen Jetta that she would use to commute to work, and like I didn't have to commute on the freeway, and so I was fine. Like I would just like that Beetle became like my daily driver,
Yes.
And then we moved so that we no longer lived in the same town where I work, and I would still use it to commute, but I would just take like a country road instead of the freeway, which I was totally fine with. But anyway, so I'm driving home from work one day, and the accelerator cable. So I mean, for anybody that doesn't know, two things you have to know: it's an old car, so it has a carburetor. And it has a rear engine. So there's literally like a braided steel cable that goes from the accelerator cable or the accelerator pedal under your foot. It goes under the car through like a conduit and then up into the engine bay, and the other end of that cable is attached to the throttle on the carburetor. And that's how you go, And anyway, right. I'm driving the car, and then like the gas pedal just like falls to the floor. And I'm like, what the H is going on here, right? But at this point, like this car has done some variation of this to me so many times that I'm like, it's just like, what now, And so I pull over to the side of the road, and I'm checking out the accelerator cable, and it's all floppy. And then so then I go around to the back, and I pop the deck lid on the back of the car, and I can see that the throttle cable is just like loosey goosey, but I was only like a mile from home, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm so close, I almost made it. Like I'm trying to think of like, okay, what can I do, right? Because it's just the cable just snaps, so it's not like the engine died, it's just the engine just started idling, right? Because it's like from the engine's perspective, you're just not giving it any gas anymore, right?
Right.
So the engine was just idling, and I'm like, okay, well, what can I do to get home?
You could coast it out.
Well, kinda. So what I ended up doing, I didn't have any tools. Like normally with a car like that, you would carry tools in the car. I'm dumb, so I didn't have any. And so I took a credit card out of my wallet, and I used it to turn the idle screw as far as it would go. Because, on a carburetor, you adjust the idle with a screw. Yeah. And I turned the idle screw as far as it would go to get the idle RPMs as high as possible. And that was enough that I was able to drive the car home in first gear.
Holy cow.
Without killing the engine.
Do you feel you must have felt pretty proud after that?
I think I came home and was kind of bragging to my wife, like, hey, guess what I just did? But I mean, it was an easy fix. I just had to get a new accelerator. Like I was able to do that myself because it's easy.
Yeah.
But we just sold that car a couple years ago. We had that car for like almost 20 years.
That's a pretty good run.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Yeah. And I mean, the only other one, the first car I ever had, I never even got to drive it. I inherited it from my grandma. And it was a pretty nice car. It was a Ford Taurus station wagon, so it's not exactly like, something you're using to pick up the ladies, but it was a late model car, and it was just a nice, big like land boat that you'd like to cruise around in.
Yeah.
But I was never able to actually drive it because I was waiting until I could legally take possession of it, and it took so long that the car sat for so long that I don't fully understand this, but I guess the oil had turned into this glaze inside the engine, and in a way that's not fixable. It ruined the engine.
Weird. Just and from so sitting so long? Or?
Yeah, and so I ended up having to sell the car to somebody that had an engine they could, because otherwise the car was great, it just needed a new engine. And so
right.
This person was able, they bought the car so they could put a new engine into it or whatever, but that kind of sucked. And then subsequent to that, like I ended up buying a car off of a coworker. It was an old like 1971 Volvo that like here in California we don't have like, well, I mean in the mountains it's different, but I'm saying like where I live we don't get snow, right? So they don't salt the roads, and so like cars here didn't really rust, you know?
Right. But
I mean,
if you
now
from someplace that did have snow, even for a little bit, it would probably cause some actual damage.
Right. And this was an older car, so the car was still all made of steel. And so, like, I buy this car off of this guy, and it just has all these rust holes in it. But he only wanted $500 for it, and it was a Volvo. I'm like, hey, it's a Volvo for $500, and that car only ran for like 2 weeks. Like, I paid $500 to rent a car for 2 weeks, and then it sat in my driveway. Like I ended up finally moving off to college. And that car sat in the driveway for like years.
Oh, wow.
My mom was like, well, I like leaving it there because then it looks like somebody's home. So she would like wash the car so that it didn't look like it'd been sitting there. And then she finally like donated it to somewhere. But that's the only car I've ever been in or seen that had a manual choke. Like a lawnmower.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
So you like underneath the steering wheel, right? Is that
yeah,
what it
you had
was?
to pull the choke out and then turn the car on, and then you'd sort of slowly push the choke back in as the engine warmed up.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like there was, like one of my grandfather's cars, we call it the Scout. I don't know why, but it's like this red truck, and I feel like that one did, but I was so young.
Well, didn't somebody make like a little sort of like SUV looking thing that was called a Scout?
It might have been, yeah. I mean, if it was called Scout, then it probably was.
Yeah.
What it was called, because I don't know why we would have called it that if it wasn't actually called that.
Did you or anybody in your family ever get into like naming your cars?
No, but you know, my dog is named after apparently my wife's grandma like named her car Nellie. No, that's like our dog. I think. No, So I talk about that first car, and I guess that I had a friend who named it. I don't know why he named it this, but so it was like kind of a baby blue color.
Yeah.
And
was it a sedan?
The Plymouth Horizon that I had, like the hatchback, right? So it was a baby blue color, and it had, you know, the security systems business's logo on the side.
Oh.
And my dad's like, oh, well, just like I got that kind of that paint. We'll just paint over it.
Oh, I figured he would say leave it because it was free advertising.
Yeah, I mean, he should have.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
I wish that he had. But he's like, I don't know why he thought we could just like spray paint over it. And we did. And it looked horrible.
Oh, I can imagine.
But it was obviously not the same color.
Yeah, yeah.
And I had a friend who, like, because of that, he I don't know where he got this from, but he called the car, he called it the two-toned Reaper. I don't know what that means or why.
Yeah. It just sounds cool.
It just sounds cool.
Yeah. When I was in high school, my friend Travis had a Mazda GLC that he got from his grandparents or something, like inherited it or whatever. It was a hand-me-down. And which is funny because, like, you know, I feel like 9 times out of 10, if somebody gets a car from their grandparents, it's in, like, you know, it's been meticulously maintained and is in, like, immaculate condition. And, like, that was the case with this. Like, this guy had this Mazda GLC that, you know, is probably, like, 10 years old, but was in, like, great condition. But we all joked, including him, that GLC stood for giant load of crap.
GLC. I get it.
I think it was supposed to stand for, like, great looking car. Someone can look that up.
Oh, yeah.
If you're listening to this right now, like, Google Mazda GLC and see what GLC stands for.
Yeah. GLC.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes it sound cool.
Anyway, I was just asking because my wife told me the other day, I think like her coworkers or something just got a new car, and they had mentioned like, oh yeah, we're still trying to think of a name for it, And it just reminded me of, like, when I was a kid, I feel like that was a more common thing. Like, my aunt and uncle, they named all their cars. And, like, the only one I remember for some reason, my uncle drove a maroon Volkswagen bus. And it was named Cecil.
Oh, that's cool.
Which I thought you pronounced that Cecil. Like, whenever I'm playing Final Fantasy 2/4, I say Cecil.
Really?
I don't actually know.
Cecil is the correct pronunciation.
Yeah.
Like, apparently, like, officially, you know, they when they say his name in like Final Fantasy Dissidia, like the fighting game on the PSP.
Yeah.
Like, they say Cecil. But I just can't do it. He's always gonna be Cecil to me.
Yeah.
So that's just the way it is. Even if it's the same thing with Final Fantasy X. You know, I think the official way to say the name is Titus, but I can't not say Titus.
Oh yeah, it's Titus, like Christopher Titus. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think the Titus is the way that they like officially say it. So
I don't care for that.
If I can't condone, you know, saying Titus, I'm definitely not going to condone saying Cecil.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, just quick postscript to that. Like, I'm talking about, this is when I was like in kindergarten. He had Cecil, and for reasons we won't get into, I didn't get to see my uncle for a very long time. And it wasn't until a few years ago that I saw him again sadly, at my aunt's funeral. So that's not fun. But, you know, I really liked my uncle a lot when I was a kid. So it was exciting for me to get to see him again. Like, if there was anything positive to take out of, you know, my beloved aunt dying, at least I got to see my Uncle Hack. And he had mentioned that Cecil finally went off to the great beyond, like, and this was like, you know, 40 years later almost, that he had kept Cecil going, but finally a tree fell on it, and that
it took a tree to take down Cecil.
Yeah, Cecil. Yeah, you want to take out Cecil, you got to come heavy. Hey, anyway, we should probably let the folks at home know that you're listening to episode 34 of Here's My Question for You. I went a little off script this time, which I guess maybe is going on script since normally we don't have a script. I Googled the number 34 out of curiosity to see, is there anything I can say? Like, oh, it's the whatever episode. And like the only thing I could see that was halfway interesting, well, not interesting to me, apparently there's a Dave Matthews Band song called Number 34. But
okay. Yeah.
Personally not a Dave Matthews Band guy, so I was not excited particularly by that.
Yeah. I saw Dave Matthews Band once. I was never a huge fan, but you know, it's another one of those bands where you know, like Fish or Grateful Dead,
yes,
people will you know, just follow them on tour for, you know, years and years and years.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw them once as enough, because, you know, like, even though I wasn't a huge fan, I can't deny that the album Crash was such a huge thing when I was in high school.
It was, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, whether or not you really liked it, I think a lot of people were like, oh, yeah, it's like, I can enjoy this album.
Yeah.
You know, I always wonder, because I know at least one person who says, you know, like, I lost my virginity listening to Crash Into Me. And I wonder how common that was in the year of 1997 to 1998. I wonder how many people out there lost their virginity listening to that song.
I can honestly say that is not something I have ever thought of.
Well, I mean, I don't think I would have ever thought about it unless I heard somebody say that they did. Yeah. But then it gets me thinking, I wonder how many people, probably tens of thousands of people, honestly.
I mean, you could probably say that about a lot of songs, though. You know?
Yes. But I think that from the years of I don't know what year that album came out. I want to say that it came out in 1997.
We can just go with that because I have no idea.
Yeah, but I guarantee you, from the year that came out, more people lost their virginity listening to that song than any other song.
Hey, if anybody out there is listening or watching and you lost your virginity to Crash by Dave Matthews Band, please send an email actually directly to Coury. I don't want to know about it, but he seems highly interested in the subject.
Or if you knew anybody that did, I want to.
Yes.
It's just like a very rough, survey.
Yeah.
And just to get an idea.
Yeah.
Just to confirm my thoughts.
Yeah. So I had two things I wanted to bring up that are semi-related, so I don't know what order to do them in, but
sure.
One of them, just since you're driving right now.
Yes.
I thought you should rattle off some cool songs that you like that are about driving.
Just rattle off some songs that are about driving.
Yeah, like On the Road Again.
Can it be
Carefree Highway by Gordon Lightfoot? That's a good song.
How about Roll with the Changes with by REO Speedwagon? Does that count? I don't know if that song's about driving, but I can list a lot of songs that I've listened to that I enjoy listening to while I drive.
Who's Gonna Drive You Home Tonight?
Who's let's see. Can you just you've put some thought into it? Like, you got some other suggestions? I can let you know if.
What was that Gary Newman song about cars? Is it just called Cars or Car? Here in my car, I feel.
Life is. How about Life is a Highway?
I hate that song. God, I hate that song. I don't know why. I just don't like that song.
Especially like the the Rascal Flatts version that was in the movie Cars.
Yeah.
I don't
like any version.
I can enjoy the original.
Rollin' by Limp Bizkit.
No, that is about driving, and I feel like that was that may have been in the trailer for the first Fast and the Furious movie.
Yeah. I feel like half of the Beach Boys songs were about cars,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to delay to give myself some more time to think about it. But, I'm thinking about Life is a Highway, and I had that song on a CD sampler that it may have been the second or third CD I ever owned.
Sorry, which song?
The song Life is a Highway.
Oh, sorry, we're still talking about that. I hate that song.
Yeah, I know that you're trying to get away from it, but I just wanted to talk about it because it just spurred this memory of I never owned. The only album I owned with that song on it was a CD sampler that was released to promote Crystal Pepsi.
Oh.
And it had that song on it, and it had I don't remember any other songs on it except for it had a cover of Pictures of Matchstick Men.
Did
or in a version of a Cats in the Cradle song.
Oh. Hey, did it have Right Now by Van Halen?
No.
Because remember that was in the commercial.
How about what about I Can't Drive 55 by Sammy Hagar?
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Did you ever drink? I remember when Crystal Pepsi came out, and I remember those commercials with the Van Halen song in them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Right Now. Yeah.
Did you ever see?
Song...
Sorry. Go ahead.
Are you going to talk about the Lake Erie Crystal Gravy?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
The lake. Yeah. I always thought it was funny because I grew up relatively close to Lake Erie.
Wait. Are you saying there was a real thing? I was talking about the Saturday Night Live sketch.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the SNL skit too. It was only funny because, it was really funny to me because of I grew up relatively close to Lake Erie, and there was a while there where Lake Erie was the most polluted of the Great Lakes, or of all bodies of water or something like that in North America. But I just remember that that SNL commercial, and there's like syringes and stuff in it.
I mean, I don't remember. Are you sure you're not conflating two different things? Because I remember the Crystal Gravy commercial. I don't remember anything about Lake Erie or syringes.
No, the SNL skit. It was just like when they used to do the commercials, like the fake commercials.
No, I
and
know
it was
what you're
Crystal
talking.
Gravy.
I remember that.
Was,
I'm saying I don't remember syringes or Lake Erie being a part of that.
Yeah,
I just remember them.
I think
they were pouring it over like mashed potatoes and turkey,
right.
and then somebody was like
sure
pouring it on their body, and they even did a good job of having that song that sounds like Van Halen.
Yeah,
that was the golden era of like SNL doing, because remember they used to always do those fake commercials in the same spot in every show. It was after like you had the cold open and then the monologue, and then a fake commercial, and then a commercial break.
Right.
And that's when they had, like, you remember the colon blow commercial with Phil Hartman? And he's like, and then there's like super colon blow.
And they would have the one where it's like that ball, like the super crazy bouncy ball or something like that. It's made from a material that fell from space.
Yeah.
But no, I feel like the Crystal Gravy was made from the water of Lake Erie, but maybe not. Maybe that's like maybe that's like a or maybe that's like Lake Erie purified water or something like that.
See, that sounds more like it.
It does. Maybe, but weirdly, maybe I've just like put these two in my head, like combine them into one thing somehow.
Maybe. Okay, so the other thing, the reason it even popped into my head to ask about driving songs is a few weeks ago, you and I, not on the show, had started having a conversation about Modest Mouse, and then you said you wanted to save it for the show because, and the way that conversation got started is you were driving somewhere, and I think you were listening to the album, and you said that The World at Large was like, a great sort of slow burner, like first song on an album.
Well, that was actually that was last time I was driving up to Akron, and I think
there you go.
When I was driving up to film something that was for the show that happened yesterday. But for some reason, sometimes, I put on Apple Music and I like put on like, Coury's radio station, which is just like pulled from songs that are, that I've listened to a bunch, that it's like recorded I've listened to a bunch, or that I like rated highly for one reason or another.
Yeah.
And for some reason during this trip, this playlist was not being diluted by like the crap that my kids have listened to.
Yeah.
Because we're all like on the same like Apple account. So a lot of times things that they listen to will just get wrapped into as if I listen to them.
So you might get hit with some Imagine Dragons, it sounds like.
I mean, I'm not going to deny that happening.
Yeah.
But for some reason it was just like hit after hit after hit. And Modest Mouse's The World at Large came on, and that is a song that I used to listen to a ton when I lived in New York. One of the things I love to do... The album or just
that song?
The album, kind of, but like I really like that song in particular.
It's a good song.
And one of my favorite things to do when I lived in New York is that, and this is, I guess, maybe a conversation for either today or another time, but, when I got my iPod, I just like suddenly had my first iPod, and I had all this music available to me at all times. And I love to just ride home and like look around on the subway or walk through the city and like imagine it as like a montage, like a film montage or whatever. Yeah. Or it's like the soundtrack to like whatever is happening.
Yeah.
And, like I listened to that song, and I used to always have this fake music video to that song for some reason, built in my head, where it's just like a camera, like a still shot on a subway, and it's like moving from stop to stop, and different people are getting on and off of the train.
Yeah.
And but that just got me thinking about how like that's a song I listen to a bunch, and I love kind of a slow opener like that's building up to more. And I think that I asked you what is the better slow build up song. It's either that or Next Exit off of Interpol's second album, Antics.
Yes.
And that is a very good song as well. But World at Large is definitely a better song, I think, but they are both very good slow build-up songs.
Yeah.
And if you've never listened to, I don't really listen to Interpol very much, but when I first moved to New York, is right after their first album came out, and I had a friend who knew somebody who was like dating the bass player or something like that, and they were kind of into him. So I bought that first album and listened to it a whole bunch, and I really liked the second one, and then I just didn't listen to anything else after that.
Yeah.
Which is it's always weird when you like a band and you listen to an album a whole bunch, and then that's basically it. You don't listen to anything new that comes out afterwards.
I mean, I think that's okay. Sometimes a band just comes out with an album that just resonates with you,
Right.
But no, see, I had said when you asked me that, because I'm not familiar with that Interpol songs, I'm not really into Interpol, but I was saying that sort of for like songs that maybe have to a certain extent the same kind of feel, not quite as much. For Modest Mouse, that I thought that the opening track to their first album was a better example, and in my opinion, a better song. That's the song Dramamine off of the album. The album's name is a mouthful. It's This Is a Long Drive for Someone with Nothing to Think About.
Right.
Which, that whole album is... Like, I've probably listened to that album more times just since the last time we talked about it than you've listened to Kid A ever.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm a longtime Modest Mouse fan, so
right.
And it's funny because then I was like, oh, I'm gonna make Coury a Modest Mouse mix mini disc, and I started trying to do it because you had mentioned that you weren't really as familiar with their earlier stuff.
No,
because Modest Mouse was around
for
for kind of a while. Like they got famous really, like played on the radio, kind of famous
because of Float On.
Yeah, because of the Good News for People Who Love Bad News.
Yeah,
album.
which is that was my first exposure to them.
Right.
As well.
Yeah.
And that album came out shortly before I moved to New York. And that time I just didn't listen to a lot of varied stuff before I moved to New York. And then once I moved to New York, you have all these and it was kind of during that indie boom of different music coming out.
Yeah.
And that combined with getting my first iPod, I'm suddenly checking out all kinds of stuff that I would never have in a million years checked out when I was just living in Western New York.
Yeah.
And that's a very good example. But I only really listen to good news for people who like bad news, or bad news for whatever it is.
Good news for people who love bad news.
Okay.
Because see, that's a paradoxical statement.
Right. That one and the is it the Moon in Antarctica?
Yep.
Was there one before that?
There's a lot of albums before that.
Oh yeah, but that was the album that came out directly before, I think. Maybe, I don't know. That's what I always assumed was the case.
Yeah. Well, you should listen to their first few, because that's what I was trying to say. I wanted to make you a mix, MD, but I don't think I can take all of the songs that I love from their early albums and jam those even onto an 80-minute mini disc.
Right.
At the very least, This Is a Long Drive you should listen to, and then the other album that I love is The Lonesome Crowded West.
Okay.
Which also
has
a great opening. The opening track to Lonesome Crowded West is Teeth Like God's Shoe Shine, which is an awesome song, although that one doesn't have the same vibe at all as Dramamine.
Okay. So I'll download one of those, like the long drive one. I will download it because I have on Sunday I'm going to be driving back home, and I'll be like, it's about a 7-hour drive.
Yeah.
So I'll download that album and listen to it.
They've got good songs about driving too. So
yeah,
like Trucker's Atlas, that's a good song.
Okay.
And they have a song. That's why when you said a car was baby blue, I asked if it was a sedan because they have a song called Baby Blue Sedan.
There you go. So I will download that and listen to it, and I'll give you my review.
Yeah, report back
on the next episode. I feel like we should do stuff like that more often, where we recommend something. And
you said High Fidelity, and I watched it like 9 times.
I know. Well, now I've had Diamond Deli, so
yeah, that's true. All right.
I think we need to. We need to. Maybe we don't do it in the very next episode, but we like keep on pushing it.
Yeah.
Till eventually it happens, and then we can do a review of it. So yeah, I'll download that album and listen to it. And there is something like maybe I'll just listen to it on repeat. If I like it a lot, then I'll just like listen to it on repeat all the way home. And I think that's something that
you don't want to get sick of it.
I should do more often.
If you were going to do that, I'd say listen to both albums, and instead of listening to the one album over and over again. But
sometimes you just if something hits you right, it's fine to listen to it. One time I was on like a 6-7 hour drive, and I went to Goodwill right before, and I'm like, I'm gonna buy one CD and I'm just gonna listen to it on repeat the entire drive.
Yeah, what did that end up being?
And it ended up being the album Star from the band Belly.
No idea.
They have a song you might have heard called Feed the Tree. It's on that album.
Yeah, it's not ringing a bell for me, but
yeah, it's pretty good. But I just like listened to that CD over and over and over again. Except for one song had scratches in it, and it skipped. Yeah. But sometimes they would play through it, sometimes they wouldn't.
Something I just realized might have been today. It was either today or yesterday. I forgot. I was online doing something, and I realized that I've been getting the band Cracker confused with Uncle Kracker. Those are not the same people.
No, not at all. Uncle Kracker's with a K, I think.
It is, yes.
Yeah.
I like that Cracker had that song Low that was pretty popular. I like that song.
It's like a real it has a kind of a filthy sound to it. Like his voice has kind of a filthy, like dirty, like like in a good way.
Yeah.
I
have a CD that's like I think I talked about that before. I have a CD that's like MTV buzz cuts.
Okay.
It's just a bunch of like that's what like MTV would call. They'd have like some new like rock song that was like lighting up the charts, but it was maybe a band that wasn't known for anything else yet.
Yeah.
And so they made a CD compilation of that in like, I don't know, 96 or so. And because it's got like Creep by Radiohead, and it's got Low by Cracker. It's got like Bush's first hit. Although
Everything Zen.
Yeah, I think so. It's got a Dave Matthews Band song on it, but not Crash.
I bet it's Ants Marching.
I don't know. I can't. I always skip that one because I play it in the car, and when that one comes on, I skip it. Oh, it's got Zombie, I think, by Cranberries.
Okay.
It's got a Cranberry song, but the best part of that CD, I don't know if you remember this, the last song on the CD is, and I don't know why this kind of happened, but do you remember like Danzig released a live version of Mother, and it ended up becoming like really popular.
Right.
Because I love that song, but it was just like before that, Danzig was like, I think more of like, I don't want to say underground.
Where he says thank you at the end?
Yeah, at the end, thank you.
I would just listen to a podcast where he's talking about specifically that song, and he's like, and I'm talking about the live version where he says thank you afterwards.
I like that. I always notice that. I think that's cool. Danzig says the way he says it too. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a really good version of the song, though.
That's hilarious that I was just listening to something, and it sparked that memory
Yeah.
Just hearing it on the podcast yesterday when I was driving to Akron.
I mean, if you haven't listened to that song in a while, you should, because, like, I mean, the crowd is really into it, and they're all singing along. Like, it's like everything that a live version of a song should be.
Yeah.
And it's an awesome song.
Yeah. I mean, it is, like, that's the only real solo hit that he had.
Yeah.
And I just remember he's just, like, I remember the music video.
Yes.
You know? Because he's huge in that music video.
Yeah. Oh, it's got there's a White Zombie song on there.
Is it a Thunder Kiss 65?
No. So I guess what I said about it always being a band's first hit is not correct, because it's got.
Is it a? It's not More Human Than Human.
It is.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
You know,
it was
like
it's
I
a good
can.
song.
He's like.
I thought White
Exactly,
Zombie was
yeah.
pretty cool back then. I'll admit it.
Yeah.
Like, I had the CD that Thunder Kiss 65. I bought that CD because if you remember, that video was on Beavis and Butthead. Like, that's how I learned about White Zombie.
Okay.
In fact, it's funny because considering that kind of the whole idea of that with Beavis and Butthead was making fun mostly of musicians, I actually discovered a lot of music. Not a lot, but a decent amount of music from watching Beavis and Butthead.
But I mean, there's times that might have been an example of, when something like is like would strike Beavis and Butthead's, like they could get excited about it. They'd be like, "Oh, this is awesome!"
Yeah.
You know, it's always nice when they were watching something that they themselves would get excited about.
Yeah, for sure.
Have you had a chance to watch the new version that's on the Paramount Plus?
No,
because I know they got greenlit
forgot.
for another season.
Oh.
So, and I mean, like Mike Judge, I don't think he misses.
Yeah.
You know, he's never missed as far as I can tell. Like, his things might not be hits right out of the gate, but they will stay in the public sphere.
Yeah.
You know, because like as time goes on, that movie Idiocracy, it just becomes more and more relevant.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's funny because that movie, he finished it and it just like sat on a shelf for years.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Because they didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
Like, Fox didn't want to release it, and they just kind of sent it out to die eventually. And now, you know, you see it get, mentioned here and there, and then sometimes clips will come up from it, and it's still very funny, and just gets more and more relevant.
I was watching. I don't know if you know who Rich Eisen is. Rich Eisen. He's like he has like a sports radio show. I enjoy because it's a radio show, but they also video. You know, they've recorded on video and then they upload clips to YouTube. And for the most part, I can't stand radio sports talk hosts because they're all like these weird like alpha dogs that act like they know way more. Like, you know, Skip Bayless or Colin Cowherd or Jim Rome.
Can you pause for 1 second? Because I'm about to cross state lines from Ohio into Pennsylvania. And I am going to pass into Pennsylvania right now, where it says, Pennsylvania, welcome to Pennsylvania, pursue your happiness.
Wow.
What the sign said.
Well, thank you so much for including all of us in that. I appreciate that.
Yes.
In a way, we all just crossed into Pennsylvania.
We all did.
Yeah.
Together.
Yeah.
It just happened 3 days before everybody else will hear it.
That's true. Anyway, whatever. I don't like listening to those guys. Rich Eisen does not act like that, like, at all. Like, Rich Eisen seems like a cool guy or whatever. And he has a lot of like celebrity guests come on the show. And he does like celebrity true or false is one of the things. Or he'll get actors on and talk about, oh yeah, you know, what was it like working on this movie? You got any stories? And they'll share cool stories or something. And it was interesting. They had Stephen Root on the show. And
cool.
He was talking about his character on Office Space, and he said, I guess the guy, he kept the red stapler, and he has it on top of his TV at home. But like, like some actors or actresses get known for a certain thing, and then like, that's what they get stopped on the street for, or fans send them stuff. So like Stephen Root is constantly being sent red staplers in the mail, which I think is funny. It's almost like that's like your own little personal hell,
Yes. Yeah, but I guess there could be worse things to be known for, right?
Yeah. Oh, this was interesting. I really appreciate little factoids like this. If you remember, what was the character's name? Why am I blanking on that?
Wait, the what? Of Milton?
Milton, yeah. So
yeah.
You remember Milton wore those Coke bottle glasses.
Right. Well, he was based on like a character from like the Mike Judge had like made up for something else.
Wasn't it on Saturday Night Live? I used to see like the little animated
shorts. SNL? It may have been.
Yeah. Anyway, so Milton wore those Coke bottle glasses.
Right.
So Stephen Root had to wear contact lenses
to make his vision worse.
Well, to undo, like, I guess I don't know how lens making works, but it's like he was wearing contact lenses that were like the opposite of the Coke bottle glasses, so that he could still see without, whatever. But it still screwed up his vision. I don't know. I thought that was interesting. I don't know. Is that
That's
interesting?
Messed
Maybe
up because it's not like he was some huge character in the movie. It just seems like they could do that and just have him be like nothing that would actually, like, not actual lenses.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But how would you make glasses look like Coke bottle glasses without having them affect the actor's vision?
Yeah.
Probably now they would do it with a computer or something, like in post.
But I feel like he's like always sitting at that desk in the entire movie. I don't think he even gets off the desk. I just can't imagine like why he would need to.
Yeah, he's always, well, no, there's the scene with the cake, I suppose.
Oh, yeah.
But you're correct. Like primarily he's either sitting at his desk or then later sitting at his desk down in the basement. And then there's the scene with the cake, and then there's the scene towards, or maybe it's the last scene of the movie where he's on the beach. And he said he was going to put strychnine in the guacamole.
But I feel like they could have easily not have done that. He could just see bad for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Out of his life.
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe they had bigger plans for him, so they were going to do that, and then, maybe he could burst out into a full-on, like a full-on, like, Tom Cruise, like, mad dash, like, through the office or something. And he really needs to see.
Yeah. So I don't have anything for Does It Slap or Should We Eat It, although I could pull something up on my phone if you really want to do it. But
okay, well, how about if I just do this? How about if I just say...
you did it last week. I feel bad.
No, you don't need to feel bad. I'm just like looking around to see if there's anything that I could...
I just always feel bad. That's my natural state.
Yeah, well, I could just like look at 3 cars around me, and we could decide what we want them to be, or like rank them, maybe. I don't know.
Sounds like a horrible idea.
It's a horrible idea.
Here, I'm pulling up the spreadsheet now. So,
okay.
But I'm just going to hit you with
hit me
something.
All right.
My eyes are so bad. That's going to make people mad. Oh, that's topical.
Okay.
Would you rather play Final Fantasy X, drink coffee that has gone cold, so not iced coffee that was hot, has been sitting on your desk too long, and has now gone cold, or you're driving someplace, and maybe you don't have all day, and the gas light comes on in your car? So that's Final Fantasy X, cold coffee, or gaslight.
Yeah, well, I like Final Fantasy X, so I'd probably choose that over all of them.
Oh, that's an easy one for you then.
I mean, that's Final Fantasy X. I didn't even like it that much until until the ending, and then that made me enjoy the game a lot more.
I mean, that's not really a ringing endorsement. Well, if you suffer through the 40 hours, there's a rewarding ending.
It retroactively made me enjoy everything that came before.
I just remember hating the Blitzball.
Yeah, well,
I just felt like it was so gimmicky.
You are only required to do it once, and I think it's impossible to lose.
Yeah, I suspect maybe it's like the same as Final Fantasy VIII. You know, like I need to go back and play them.
Yeah,
You know, I think maybe now I'm a little bit more tolerant. You know,
you should put it on your Vita.
Yeah,
that's
a good idea.
The HD remaster is on the Vita.
Yeah.
Or you could get it on a Switch if you needed to. You probably get the problem with the Switch version is that, and also with the Vita version, is that the cartridge only has the first game on it, and then 10.2 is download only. But 10.2 isn't super required, I think.
I mean, I'd probably just, if I don't have it anymore, I'd probably just buy a copy of the PS2 game.
Yeah. Well, if you wanted to play 10.2 and you wanted it like on cartridge, you didn't want like a download of it.
Yeah.
The Japanese Switch version has both games on the cartridge.
And you can switch the language to English?
Yeah, it'll switch to whatever your system is set to.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff like that on the Switch where games will have the English language already on it.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of
and you could even import like the Switch version of that has Final Fantasy 7 and 8 on it on a cartridge.
I mean, I have so many different ways to play Final Fantasies. Wait. You're saying there's a release that has 7, 8, 10, and 10.2?
No. It has 7 and 8 on one cartridge.
That's kind of cool.
It has like the 8 remastered and the 7. But it's nice though, because if you want to like hurry through them, you can. It has like fast forward in it.
Well, I guess. I don't know. I like playing games like the original way. Like I'm saying, I'm perfectly happy just playing on my PlayStation, which, by the way, I just got yesterday. I got my X Station, and from Laser Bear, I got that thing that goes in the like
the 3D print.
Yeah, the 3D print thing that goes where the optical drive was, and then that has the socket on it for the SD card. I got both of those items.
Good stuff.
So now I just have to find an installer. So I'm not doing it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I'm trying to get Voltar to do it, but I don't know how backed up he is right now.
Yeah.
Dragon's Horde did my Sio installation, but
he's in the UK, isn't he?
No.
Oh.
But I know he stopped doing work for a while, and he's in the process of building a new shop, I think, on his property. And I don't know.
Cool.
I don't know where he's at on that, but he also, I think I've mentioned this before, but the Dragon's Horde guy recapped the motherboard in my Mac Classic.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I asked him, I'm like, look, I got this Mac Classic. It needs to be recapped. Can I just take the motherboard out and send it to you? Because, you can buy a capacitor kit for it from I don't know where. And I remember him telling me, he was just like, I can replace the capacitors, but you're just going to send me the motherboard, so I'm going to have no way to test it after I... Mm-hmm. And I was like, I trust you or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I sent him my PlayStation and the Mac Classic motherboard. And, sure enough, I got the motherboard back, and I stuck it in the Mac Classic, fired right up, worked perfectly. So the guy knows what he's doing. But
heck yeah.
The PlayStation that had the Sio mod from Dragon's Horde, that's the one I'm going to have the X Station put in, because you don't actually have to take out the Sio mod. You can just leave it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Like it's not hurting anybody. It's just like... Because it's a switch, it's like a switchboard where if the Sio is not installed, you can boot a disc. But that PlayStation already doesn't. The reason I had that one modded is the optical drive was broken, and so I just took the optical drive out and threw it away. So there's nothing to switch to because that PlayStation doesn't have an optical drive. But so apparently the two mods don't interfere with each other, so I can just have the X Station put in there and just use it like that, and then the Sio mod will be in there just not doing anything. Because that that PlayStation, Dragon's Horde also recapped the power supply, so I want to keep using that PlayStation. That's
well, if you need somebody to do it, they should reach out to you, like when they hear this.
Oh yeah. I mean, I guess there's Mobius. I could have Mobius do it. There's like yeah. I mean, I got some options, I guess.
Yeah.
I just feel like there's not enough of those guys, and so generally speaking, those guys are all like they're all backed up with work.
Yeah, and you know, like the landscape changes over time too. Probably like even since the last time you had any work done, you never know who might still be around.
True.
Or who might be taking a break.
Yeah.
You know, it's you just never know. Like all the people that you reliably go to might not be available right now.
Yeah.
And there might be new reliable people.
True. Yeah. Well, I asked Voltar. I just said, hey, if you don't have time, do you have anybody else you could recommend? Yeah. So I have kind of this other weird thing going on. Like, you know, I mentioned in the last episode that I was balls deep in Famicom baseball games. And so I was playing. I don't know a lot about, you know, character mappers or whatever the hell it's called. I don't get into the technical side of video gaming.
Yeah.
I just want to play
like
video
the mapper
games.
chips that are on the in the cartridges.
Yeah.
Because those are just used to expand the capabilities of the cartridge.
Right. But so I'm having this weird thing where all of the Family Stadium games, which there was a lot, because Family Stadium games came out every year from 86 to 94. That's what we got here. The first Pro Yaku Family Stadium is what we got as RBI Baseball. So like everybody knows that game. You just don't know it under that name. But you know, here the two series diverged because after the first one, all the subsequent RBI Baseball games that we got here were made by Tengen, and you know, in Japan they all continued to be made by Namco. But that's the only point in me saying that is that in Japan there's this whole series of games made by Namco, you know, based on the first one. But anyway, if I play those games either on my Mister or on my analog pocket using OpenFPGA, there's all these graphical glitches. But I was trying to look up, like, does it have some kind of special mapper chip or something? And I couldn't find anything. But the weird thing is that I can play those games on my NT Mini Noir jailbroken, you know, or whatever. And it works fine.
On the analog pocket, have you tried the different... I think that there's two different like emulators or two different cores for NES games on the pocket.
Oh,
like
no, that's
one
a good point.
that was made by, if you try the spiritualized one,
I'll try that.
That might work, especially if it works on the pocket or on the analog NT, because spiritualized is the Kevtris core.
Oh, I should definitely try that then. I just thought it was weird, like that it's only with those two. Just because, like, you know, I can use the NT to record the gameplay footage, and that's fine. And plus, I have physical copies of, I think, every game in the series.
Yeah, I mean, you wanted to.
But I just, like, you know, if I'm on the go, because I'm trying to play these games a lot, so that I can hopefully have interesting things to say about them. So it would be nice to be able to play it on the go on the pocket. But all those games are unplayable on the pocket because of these weird. So I'm gonna try what you said.
Yeah. Try the spiritualized core and see if that will work. The chances are probably good that they will.
Okay.
That it will. Because I think that the other one is a port of the Mister core.
Oh, well, then that would make sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I wish I had my pocket in front of me, but I don't. It's upstairs.
You can. It'd be against the rules anyways to try it out right now.
Well, I don't know. That's not looking something up on the internet, though.
Yeah.
I don't know how, you know. I don't know how wide-ranging these rules are. I think you're right. It's on the line a little bit. It's a little out of line to start playing a video game on the show.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, we're at 90 minutes now, so I don't know if you want to.
Yeah. I think this is probably a good way to wrap it up. If people like this format,
yes.
I mean, I am so into, doing, like, recording episodes of the podcast here and there on location.
Yeah.
I could be like out taking the dog for a walk.
Well, I just feel like part of the problem is, like, I didn't think that the 3-hour time difference was going to make that big of a deal, but I just feel like it kind of makes it harder for us to find times to record.
Right.
And, I think if you have the flexibility of being able to record, because, like, normally we wouldn't be able to do this because you're driving, and so this makes it possible.
Right.
And so, I mean, I'm curious to see how the audio is going to sound. Like, is it, because, I mean, unless the audio is, like, really bad, I don't see why we wouldn't keep doing this. Like, not every week, but I'm saying when necessary.
Right. Yeah. I mean, just as long as everything sounds good.
It's nice to get reports from the field sometimes.
Yeah, like I'll get in some vitamin D, I guess.
Yeah. And I mean, really, I've heard people say, like, if you're getting into, like, podcasting, or you're trying to do a little bit of VO for your YouTube show or whatever, and you don't have a place in your house to do it that's, like, acoustically appropriate, people will say, like, if you can, go record in your car.
Right.
Just because of all the upholstery and everything in there, like, you get pretty good sound quality generally if you record something in your car. So, but of course that's not hurtling down the freeway. So
no.
We'll have to see. But I can't, like, you and I are talking on the phone right now. So that's not the audio I'm going to hear when you give me what you recorded, but I cannot hear any road noise at all.
Well, hopefully.
What are you driving, like a Lincoln Town Car or something?
No, I'm driving my car. It's it's a Ford Focus.
Yeah.
A 2018 Ford Focus.
That's like a little hatchback. That's right, or no?
No.
Because my coworker's got a Ford Focus, and it's like a little hatchback, but I don't know if they have different models or whatever of Focus.
No, I mean, in some cases, if I was taking a trip like this and I was going straight home after this, for this distance, I would have probably rented a car, because the company will either pay my gas mileage or they'll pay for a car rental.
Yeah.
And in a lot of cases, I think that if I was just going straight home, I would absolutely have just rented a car.
Right.
So, just like save on the wear and tear. But since I'm going to Jamestown after this, I was like, I guess I gotta, I guess I have to, drive my own car. But the cool thing is, like, they basically, like, they pay for my round trip. So the only gas that I don't get reimbursed for is driving from Erie to Jamestown and whatever driving I do in Jamestown.
That's not bad.
Yeah, so, like, in a way, it's the same way, like, if I have to fly someplace.
Yeah.
And I can go like a couple of days early to visit family or something like that. Like, I did that when I had to do some stuff in Florida a couple of weeks ago, and I just flew, the company pays for me to fly down there, but I flew down at like 2 days early to spend some time with family. Yeah. And then they still pay for my flight back. So, there's nothing wrong with just going a couple days early or, doing some other stuff. It's one of those cool things about like a kind of a side perk, I guess, to like jobs like this.
Yeah, sure.
Or if you're traveling, if you want to wrap in some other things, there's nothing wrong with that, especially if it's going into a weekend.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Hey, fun fact, I didn't have to use the cough button one single time today.
Dude, you're like, so you're like basically completely better.
Like, I didn't even have to like clear my throat. So yes, I think I'm firing on all cylinders finally. So
that's awesome.
I'm finally going to make a new episode of Weekend Rental, I think today.
Oh, weren't you just working on one though, right?
Yeah, I took a picture and posted it, yes. But I ended up not recording it that day. I was playing the game, and I intended to record.
Sometimes it's more fun just to get set up.
And I ended up not doing it.
And then not doing it.
Yeah, something came up, or I forgot what. There was some kind of reason, but but I had said that I was going to do Rambo 3, and I still am going to do Rambo 3, but not this week. But I posted that screenshot And I mean, it's not a very helpful screenshot. Like, I wouldn't expect someone to know what game that was unless they're really into that game. But I was surprised that nobody on social media was able to guess what game it was.
But did you let everybody know what it was eventually?
No.
Or have you
No.
Oh.
They can wait and see.
It was a driving game of some sort.
It is. I'll tell you because the video will be out before this podcast is out. It's RC to Go on the PlayStation.
Oh, okay.
But again, like based on the screenshot I showed, I wouldn't expect anybody to get that. There's nothing in that screenshot that like.
I didn't even know that was got like a U.S. release or whatever.
I think it's the only De Go game that got released in the West.
Oh, okay.
You know, because of course Densha De Go was the big, and then there was like Jet De Go, Keisha, was it Keisha De Go, which was like driving a steam locomotive, and then RC De Go. And for some reason, it's strange that we only got RC De Go. And what's even more strange is that it was released here by, I think it was Acclaim, who already had like an RC car series, which I think was called Revolt. Okay. So it's odd that of all people, they would be like, oh, we'll release that for you. But I'm glad they did, because RC To Go is a really cool game.
Yeah, I always get it mixed up with, I don't get it mixed up with, but, you ever play the RC Stunt Copter game on PS1?
I think I might have checked it out at some point, but I have not played it at length.
It's pretty neat, and it's fairly cheap. But when you get the X Station installed, you should check it out.
Yeah, well, I have the Sayo. I could still check it out right now. But
if it's supported, I don't even know
that's
what
true.
Work
that's
and
true.
what don't work.
But it was funny because I just kind of decided like I don't want to do Rambo 3 this week. I need to play it some more first. Because I was kind of geared up and ready before I got COVID, where I felt like okay, I can play this game and get pretty deep into it. But then I put it down for a month basically, and I'm like, well, I want to go play it some more and get my chops back up before I play the game. And so I was like, well, I'll just play something different. And I've been in kind of a PlayStation mood lately. So I was like, I just figured I'm going to go look at my PlayStation shelf and see what I've got. And I've got RC To Go there. And so I pulled it out. I was like, oh, maybe I'll play this. And what pushed it over the edge is I flipped it over. And on PlayStation games, it's got the little section at the bottom that talks about like how many memory blocks it takes. And like, it's, can you play it with the analog controller? And it specifically said, that it was compatible with like an analog driving controller. And then like the little graphic that it used looked like it had like these two arrows going in opposite directions in like a twisting motion. And I was like, I think you're making reference to a Negicon. And so I'm like, I got to check that out. And so I came downstairs with my Negicon, plugged that in. And yeah, the game's got like baked in Negicon support.
That's cool.
In the same way that like Wipeout does. Like if you have a Negicon plugged in, when you go to set the controls in the game, it shows a Negicon instead of a normal PlayStation controller. And yes,
I got to get myself one of those.
In the same way that you want me to buy a GunCon 2 or GunCon 3 or whatever it is, you need to get everybody. If you're a PlayStation fan, everybody out there should have a Negicon. I think that's the best third-party controller certainly ever made for the PlayStation, but maybe just period. As far as like, once you play games like Wipeout with a Negicon, at least for me, you can't go back to a regular controller.
There's no going back.
Yeah.
Well, I'll when I park and I get all set up and everything, and I got some time before the event tonight. See how much they go for on.
Yeah, I really have no idea. I'm sure they're not cheap, but I'm sure you can get one.
Yeah, you never know. All right, we should probably wrap it up because I'm going to be there in 15 minutes, but I'm about to get out the expressway, and it's going to be like direction after direction coming through my headphones here, or my earbud, my singular earbud.
Yes. All right. Well, then in that case, you've been listening to episode 34 of Here's My Question for You. The Dave Matthews, who would never dump the solid and liquid waste from his tour bus into a river while he was driving over a bridge, band. And that's not, people, I'm sure Dave Matthews himself took a lot of heat for that, but I'm sure he had nothing to do with the decision to dump the septic tank in the tour bus into the river.
But he'll be forever known for that.
But I'm going to give Dave the benefit of the doubt and say that I'm sure that nobody said, hey, Dave, do you mind if we do this?
I do got to say that the Dave Matthews Band drummer Carter Buford is an amazing drummer though.
Oh, all right.
He's got a gigantic, enormously gigantic drum set.
All right. Well, I'll next time I'm listening to some DMB, I will pay extra attention to the drumming.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Have a good week, everybody.
Take care.